Take 3. Hey, what's up, G?
Zach G mixed it.
Hey, it's the art of revolution.
Push the masses away from the media. Every day it's a new distraction from what matters to me. And you'll get the public together to speak in front of the theater with a microphone dangling. Congress tied up and they hearing us like, hey y'all, I'm holding this microphone like a K-Dog. And with this A-y'all, I kick the revolution way off. Today's the day, dog. They ain't like us, I'm quoting K-Dog. I'm from the days of face-to-face conversations like, hey, wait up. The fake is blatant, we ain't the racist. The claim is baseless, they taking face pics. To trade for information, take away your simple basics. The day-to-day Satan worship is taking place. It's your chance to speak your mind and probably your last time. Time is running out, we hustle every day for peace of mind. Cheap and grind, that's what I'm saying when I'm out here getting mine. Get in line, the time to make a difference is not. Push, pull, push out the evil and pull in the truth. I know you got something to say and now's your time to say it, dude. Like push, pull, push out the evil and pull in the truth. I know you got something to say and now's your time to say it, dude. Like.
Welcome to Art of Revolution. We finally have Anne-Marie Grant in studio, and I'm going to go ahead and play it at a girl. I'm going to play a little clip, then we're going to introduce her. So this clip is going to kind of give you an idea of what she's here to talk about, and then we're going to introduce her, and then we're going to talk about this. Here we go.
Anne-Marie Grant, for the record, ANNEMARIEGRANT. First of all, it's very disturbing to see elected officials using multiple armed men to stifle a man exercising his First Amendment rights. I trust come election time, the voters will dole out the consequences for this abuse of authority. What I saw here today is no different than what myself and son experienced when protesting at the sheriff's office, surrounded by armed men who keep their hand on their guns the entire time, demanding I move to the so-called First Amendment area. After all, I am a 5-foot female armed with a bullhorn. Big threat. My brother Thomas Purdy was 38 years old when he was tried, convicted, and executed by Reno Police and Washoe County Sheriff's Office during a mental health crisis. His crime was asking for help at the Peppermill Casino. Instead of help, Reno PD hogtied my non-combative, mentally ill 138-pound brother for over 40 minutes and dumped him at the jail to be asphyxiated and pig-piled on by multiple deputies on his neck and back. It made me sick to see Sheriff Balaam condemning the murder of George Floyd in 2020, when Washoe County has several George Floyds of their own. This county seems to have perfected sweeping things under the rug. Instead of truth, my family got lies. They told me my brother suddenly stopped breathing and was talking crazy. Well, video doesn't lie like the sheriff's office does. And they left out the part where my brother had been hog-tied and pig-piled on, begging for his life, telling them he needed an ambulance, telling them they were going to kill him, telling them he was going to die. My brother literally said to these people, you guys could have been a lot better people. Why did you do this to me? Apparently, some community members here aren't aware that the sheriff's office has the biggest budget. Have they taken a look at the salaries that these deputies are pulling in to come harass a man exercising his First Amendment rights? They don't need more training. What they need is humanity and empathy. They act with impunity like some of you on this board. Well, it's good to see the community trying to hold you all accountable, because accountability is good for all of us. All of you up on the board included. 16 human beings have died under Sheriff Balaam care and custody since 2019. Notice the first word is care. You have a duty to our most vulnerable community members under NRS 211.020. Having the sheriff's office self-report to you is the fox guarding the hen house. I'll remind you, most at the hellhole called Washoe Detention Facility are awaiting their day in court, yet to be convicted of anything. Police investigating themselves is not transparency, and it will never get us to accountability. DA Chris Hicks did not even review any of the 3 murders at the jail. My brother was one of 3 men asphyxiated to death within a year period. Instead of discipline, these deputies and officers are promoted and given awards. None of them are randomly drug tested. That's a problem. When you can kill without consequence, you need to take a drug test.
Thank you.
We're having an event
First off, so we're here. Finally, we got you in the building.
Yep.
Go ahead and introduce yourself and what brought you here.
Hi, so my name's Anne Marie Grant, and I'm actually out here in Reno, Washoe County, for the 7th year to um, on September 21st, this upcoming Saturday at 1 p.m., myself and other families impacted by police violence locally that have had a loved one killed in Washoe County will be heading to the federal courthouse for our 7th annual event to remember our loved ones and share their truth, because it's not on mainstream media's agenda. And it's important to keep our loved ones' names out there and to make sure that the community is aware what is actually transpiring, because a lot of people live on an imaginary pedestal where they think it can't happen to them. And I can assure you, I was one of them. I didn't think that my brother would be hogtied and murdered by the police, but yet here I sit today.
What exactly was it that happened to your brother?
So my brother was at the Peppermill Casino as a guest. He's from Boston, just like I am. I don't know if anybody picks up on the accent, but yep, that's where I'm from. And he was out here as a guest at the Peppermill. He was staying there, and he had a mental health crisis on the casino floor. He thought somebody was trying to kill him, someone was trying to shoot him. And he sat in between the slot machines. Security came up to him. He asked them for help, told them that someone was trying to kill him. They didn't bother to see if he was a guest there. They just, I think, assumed that he was just some homeless lunatic. And then they physically escorted him out of the casino by means of using his head to open the doors to get him outside. And once he was outside, they then called Reno Police, who showed up and hogtied, as I said in the video, my non-combative, unarmed, non-aggressive, 138-pound mentally ill brother, put him in a hog tie for over 40 minutes, brought him up to par. He was still hog-tied, and they put him face down as he told them, "I'm going to die. I need an ambulance. I can't breathe. I've had major lung surgery." They put him face down and they asphyxiated him to death. And then they denied him medical attention for until REMSA showed up. They didn't attempt any CPR or anything like that.
So just to clarify, Par Boulevard is where the jail's at.
Yes, Power Boulevard is the Washoe County Detention Facility.
Yeah. So a lot of people might not understand that. And then so ever since this has happened, and so let me rewind real quick. You've actually seen all this video of this happening to your brother, right?
I did, and the only reason, when initially what we were told by Sparks Police, because I don't know if people are aware, but in Washoe County, at least, if someone dies allegedly at the hands of law enforcement in that city, if it's Reno, then Sparks or Washoe County will investigate them, and vice versa. So it was Sparks Police who initially came to Renown, where my brother was on life support, brain dead, and told us that my brother just suddenly stopped breathing, was talking crazy, and he suddenly stopped breathing. We didn't find out. You brought up the videos, and that is how I found the truth out, was months later through a public records request. I got the videos because at the jail, they thought my brother was acting strange enough to get a handheld camera, but they didn't think he was acting strange enough to call an ambulance. So there's a video from a handheld camera, as well as I believe there was a video camera in the Sally Port where they brought him.
So what, I mean, like from your perspective, and I mean, most people can understand this happening. The cops are like, "Oh, I've heard this before," or is it like that? Is it more like they just don't give a shit, or is it? I mean, it seems like in this case, especially, it's just like a bunch of cops who really didn't give a shit. Nobody's listening. That's a huge part of the problem. Not to mention they have the immunity that they have. What the hell is that word? Qualified immunity. So they don't even have to care at that point. They know nothing's going to happen to them, so they don't have to care about the whoever's listening's family member who may have an incident, and they get in there and they die at the hands of those who are supposed to protect and serve. They have qualified immunity, so they don't have to care.
Right.
So really, I hear this all. Oh, I hear people saying I need help all the time. That doesn't matter. Get them help, right?
Right. Let me just say this: a delay heading to the jail cell versus a delay in medical care that can save someone's life. I think we should err on the side of caution. And if someone asks for help that is having an encounter with law enforcement, we don't have. You do not in no state out of this all of the states in the United States. There is one state, and that is the state of Connecticut, where you have the right by law. If you have an emergency medical issue while you are with the police and you say, I need to go to the hospital, by law, they have to take you. And that just passed recently. And in my home state of Massachusetts, myself and other impacted families were supporting that bill passing in Massachusetts. But sadly, politicians, just like in this state, they don't want to make any real serious changes. They say Massachusetts is like such a liberal state, but if that was the case, they would have passed the medical civil rights bill, guaranteeing the right to medical attention when you're with the cop. Most people probably just think, oh, if somehow I get in an encounter with the cops, like I'm gonna get my medication if I go to the jail. I'm gonna get my diabetes medication. I'm gonna be taken to the hospital if I have a broken leg. They have no duty under the law to get you medical care, and that's a problem.
That's something that definitely needs to change. Before we're gonna get into who her brother was in just a second, but it kind of trips me out that this kind of shit it continues to go on. It's happened to multiple families, and it's not it shouldn't be this much of a polarizing issue. And I think a lot of us I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but oh, if you're a Republican, you got to support the police all the way, or if you're a Democrat, you're interested in criminal justice reform. So it's becoming a political polarizing issue when in fact it's a humanity issue, right? And I think that this is one of those issues, criminal justice reform, especially in holding these public officials who police officers represent the public. They're there to protect and serve. They need to be held accountable, but they get away with this shit because of the thin blue line, which in my opinion is a gang.
Agreed.
Yeah, they arrest people for wearing certain colors and certain clothes and certain sports teams, yet on all of their tactical vests, which they shouldn't have, they have that thin blue line badge. I mean, how many times every time you go out, I can't imagine you seeing this every time you go out.
Absolutely. All the time. It's actually infuriating where I live in Massachusetts. The fire department in the town, a couple towns over from me, actually started hanging the blue line flag on their fire truck. Thank God there was a community member who he got tons of shit, from the general public, but he wrote in saying, this is not okay. I don't want the blue line flag flown on the fire department fire trucks. And he, when you send in a public comment, it's a public record, and people got his address, and there's assholes online who like spread his name and address because they were upset that he got the blue line flag taken down. There's some people who are just so indoctrinated, and and to me, the blue line flag, yes, it represents a gang, and it also represents that warrior mentality of them, like us versus them. I feel like they leave their house and literally believe that, like, it's me versus them, it's me or them tonight. And it's like their jobs can be dangerous at some points, but most of the time, the families I know, anything that happened it was officer created danger. I mean,
yeah, that seems to be the case in general. Like even if you're sitting in a park and you're dressed in a certain type of way or have a certain type of look, instead of going out and busting, the dope dealers or whoever they're supposed to bust, which I don't know anymore. I mean, I've been on that side my whole entire life, the other side of the law, really, I guess, if you call it that, and more out of because I saw as a child growing up that they weren't what everybody portrayed them to be. And then, and I'm telling you, if we went out and all had, okay, actually, let's put this into perspective. The FBI is investigating everybody with a MAGA flag. Yeah. the police can wear this thin blue line flag, and it's time for justice reform. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, it's 100% time for us to sit down and look at these injustices, and not as a racial issue, because despite the fact the BLM and George Floyd riots of 2020 happened over an African American man. I don't even like saying African American because we're all Americans. We're not minorities. We're all Americans. But there was riots over someone dying basically the same way. And I don't think Derek Chauvin's knee was what killed him. What killed him was a multitude of other things, and it's come out in a lot of the doctor's reports. I'm not a professional, so I can't really get into that, but he died of asphyxiation, and so did your brother. But so the racial aspect is almost sickening, because it's not a black, white, Latino, Asian, it's everybody has to go out, and we have to face these people every day. And I guarantee you, anybody who's listening to this, every time a cop pulls up behind you, your adrenaline starts pumping for whatever reason. Maybe because you don't want to take it, but most of it at this point, and it's so sad that it's come to this, because I remember protect and serve on the side of cop cars. I remember when they kind of held that standard, and it was at officer discretion instead of looking for a reason to pull people over. But I think we're all equally afraid of being policed by the tyrants who have become our local police. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that 90% of people get that feeling in their stomach when the police roll up behind them, and they should ask themselves why. But as far as the race issue, it's the media. I blame mainstream media for that. They don't care if a white person is killed. They don't want the general public to know, because white people are the majority. The last time I checked the data, which was a couple years ago, but it was 57% of the population. Well, if 57% of the population realize that you can be killed just as easy as a black man, they might get a little more active and have a lot more to say about what's going on. But when you think it can't affect you, then you just go about your life.
So you since your incident with your brother, you become an advocate, and you get out there. In that video that we introduced with, she gets out there and kicks ass on a daily basis. She talks about it everywhere she goes. She's become an advocate for the injustice that we have to deal with as regular citizens by the police, and it is injustice. Are you seeing this more and more across whatever demographics you come across? Or, I mean,
it's across the board. I've seen it consistently since my brother was killed. I actually, what made the most impact for me as someone who had lost, it's a very lonely place. I mean, you don't know, there's no when your loved one's killed by police manual to turn to, like, what do you do? But someone, a man named Rick Hill, who he didn't lose a loved one to police, but he connected me with other families who had a loved one killed by police. And I realized how beneficial that was for me. And I, in turn, try to do the same thing and reach out to families when I see them in the news. I really have focused here in Washoe County, where my brother was killed, trying to connect with families here. And give them a voice, even if it's only one day out of the year. But you have to remember, it's easier for me to come here. I can leave.
Yeah.
People who live here have to deal with the police every day of their life here, and they target families. So I think that white and black people, Asian, Latino, Native Americans, the police do not discriminate who they will kill.
I don't think so. I think you're 100% right.
In sheer numbers, white people are killed a lot more than minorities. It's just because we're a bigger percent of the population. But year to year, if 2,500 people are killed, 1,500 of them are white people. But the media doesn't want the general public to know that.
Everybody wants it to be about race. So Rick Hill, this is a new name that you're just dropping on me right now. Sounds like he inspired you a little bit. Who is he?
So Rick is actually a man that lives in Missouri, and
Mhm.
he actually he collected data. He tried to collect data of people killed by police because until 2014 there was no database. And actually, a local reporter here, D. Brian Berghardt, he's from the Reno area.
Yeah.
He's the one who actually started a database collecting data on people who died during interactions with law enforcement. And he started that in 2014, and unfortunately, he stopped collecting the data in 2022 was the last year he collected it. But Rick Hill also is someone else who was trying to collect that same type of data. But he's just an average guy who he actually suffers from Parkinson's disease, and the disease has really progressed for him. And his wife is dealing
Yeah.
with Alzheimer's right now, and Facebook booted him off, like they've blocked so many people who share truth and
Yeah,
they
exactly.
censor them. But yeah, he was just a man who has a huge heart and wanted to connect me with other people that knew my struggle. And I think he realized that if we connect together, that obviously we're stronger as a united force instead of separate individual cases. It can't be about the individual case. It's about the totality of this problem, and it needs to stop.
Absolutely. I think I mean, I've like I said, I've been on the other side forever, and I think you're absolutely right that police do not discriminate. I mean, once upon a time, I would totally 100% agree that maybe there was a racial aspect to it, but nowadays, it's all about getting whoever they can and arresting them. Now, the one thing that I want people to lock onto about what she said is this is a grassroots thing. I was looking at different polling numbers over the past few weeks about police approval in the country, and I think they're way off, but 51%. The biggest leap in approval went from 51 to 48% as far as the mainstream media. So half the country dislikes the way that we're policed and believes that they're tyrannical. And it wasn't where the misleading thing was is where it was 48% extremely disapproved, then a couple percent somewhat disapproved, and then a few, 15% were in the middle. And then so they took the extremely disapproved and put all the other, lumped them all together, and this shit has got to change. And so you met Rick Hill. And it sounds like he got you started on your journey here.
Yeah, he did. And actually, locally, 7 years ago, I connected with Lisa Bonta, whose husband, Johnny Bonta, was shot on October 22nd, 2017. We had connected through social media, and she actually is the one who said, I want to have an event. I want people to know what happened to my husband. I don't want them to get away with this. And I said, sure, I'm on board. And we came, and we had about that first year, I think we had about 5 families. And that's a lot. You don't see people coming together in groups in Reno when their loved ones killed. But again, the mainstream media didn't want anything to do with it. To me, that's a story, but to me, it shows the public there's a problem, and we can't have that. We can't have any truth of the public knowing that there is a problem with police killing community members in their community. Everybody wants to believe, and the police departments like to put out that it's not here. It's every other department but us.
Yeah.
They don't want to acknowledge their shortcomings.
Well, Northern Nevada has a everybody in each other's pockets problem, as we learned from Tanya Brown. And she has a book out called To Prove His Innocence about her brother, Nolan Klein. You guys can go check that out. But it seems like Northern Nevada's really got everybody in each other's pocket. And most people, and the big thing about this whole discussion we're having is I want people to be a little more inspired to stand up, because we can change the dynamic. We can go from law enforcement back to peace officers if we demand it.
That's right.
And that's the big difference. A lot of people don't understand. If you even watch like the Silver Screen Marshall Dillon. They're all peace officers. We have law enforcement officers right now that drive around in cars with no markings on them, and their plates don't say, hey, I'm a cop or whatever. Not saying you should break the law, but they're sneaking up on people, and it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get it. You know, they got grandmas going to jail. It's all about, that's what it seems like it's all become about in the Washoe County Sheriff. So that being said, I don't want to go into a diatribe, but so you've learned a lot about the Washoe County Sheriff's Department in particular because of what happened to your brother, and became, got out there and started kicking some ass on that note. What experiences have you had with them besides the blackball? I mean, even blackballed everywhere you go, but.
Well, them personally, I like to go up to the jail and stand there with the big 6-foot banner I have of my brother on life support. And I ask, as they walk in, I want them to know. They should all know, every person in that building should know that my brother and 2 other men were murdered there by means of asphyxiation.
Mm-hmm.
And what I encounter is people who are assholes. They laugh at me. They think it's a joke. They don't take it seriously, it feels like. They try to make me move. They really just want me to leave and move up on the grass where nobody can hear me, but the community owns that property, not them.
So when you get out there, and I've been listening to a lot of auditors and watching a lot of First Amendment auditor guys. So you get out there and you're at the Washoe County Jail or whatever, and what do they come up and tell you? You got to stand over here. You have to stand over there. You can't film. What's your name? Give me your ID. Is that what happens? What happens when you get out there and do that stuff?
So 3 years in a row they attempted to come out, and usually it's just me, my son, who he's 23 now, but 7 years back he's come every year. So not good at math, but whatever it is. My son and my brother, and they literally come out like 4 to 6 deep each time. And one of them always has either his hand on his taser, and the other one's got his hand on his gun. And this is, like I said, for me and my son and my brother, and all I have is a bullhorn in my hand. But truth is deadly to them, so I guess that they get real upset about it. But yeah, there's supposedly a First Amendment area. I've never bothered to ask them where it is because I don't give a fuck. I'm not going there.
That's unconstitutional.
Yeah, I'm not going there wherever it is. But yeah, they usually try to make me move over there, and I've never had them try to pull me over or anything. Leaving, I do think one time when I was with Tanya, they did write her license plate down. But
that's because you were with Tanya.
Yeah, but as far as any type of retaliatory behavior, I don't live here. I'm gonna stay for like 2 weeks. I don't announce to them when I'm coming. They'll hear me when I get there.
I heard Tanya say that you made phone calls and they were like, I know this is Tanya Brown and we're going to arrest you and all. And she's like, I've heard that story like 5 times. It's a beautiful story, but
Tanya's been a really, as far as like people who have helped me along this journey, Tanya's definitely been someone who's been really helpful. No, we both lost our brother, not in the same exact manner, but to the injustice system. As you mentioned, her brother was wrongfully convicted. And the corruption is deep rooted, and it goes way back. One of the cop who actually hemmed her brother up, put the false charges against him, actually was in the reports, worked at the sheriff's office at this point when my brother was killed. And I came across his name, was researching what's going on in Washoe County, and came across Tanya. And she's helped me learn a lot about the legislature, about how things operate,
she's a G for sure.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. I'm very thankful to have her as a friend.
Oh, there's got to be something. So obviously protesting doesn't work. And what happened? So you go to the commissioners meeting. What happened at the commissioners meeting today, just before I get on with this?
Well, today at the commissioners meeting, I had mentioned, at the beginning of my comment that you played, that it's disturbing that armed men come and surround me. And there was a gentleman there who was making public comment, which we all have the right to do at the meetings at the beginning and end. And he wanted his document that he was placing on the public record to be faced out towards the public.
because the meetings are played on YouTube as well. He wanted it forward face so that it would show on YouTube and to the audience. The audience could see it, but they refused to show it to people who were watching virtually. And he got upset about that. He stated his grievance with it and his issues with it. He moved away from the podium, and then he chose to stand at the front of the not at the podium, but at the front of the room. And
Yeah.
apparently that they didn't like that. I don't know that there's a rule against that. He wasn't being disruptive. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't saying a word. He was just standing there. So they told him, the county commissioners took a recess, of course, so that it wouldn't be live streamed and everybody could see 7 sheriff's deputies show up for a man exercising his constitutional rights.
Yeah.
So that the sheriff's office showed up. The gentleman actually told the sheriff's office that he wanted to have the county commissioner, he wanted to do a citizen's arrest on her because there is an NRS that says you can't remove someone from a public meeting. I'm not really sure. Yep. So he was stating that, and he wanted to have her do a citizen's arrest. Of course, I knew how it was going to turn out.
Yep. I could have seen that
He
too.
stood on his rights. He did, and he tried to do the right thing. And the cop said, well, you're trespassed, and if you don't leave, we're going to arrest you. And he made it known that he would leave, but under duress. So he left, and then the meeting continued. So
this is so fucked up. The fact that the police don't give a shit about our rights. We have constitutional rights in America.
And they're sworn to uphold the Constitution. That's what I said to the deputies at the meeting today that are trying to arrest him. I'm like, you do realize you're sworn to uphold the Constitution, not violate it.
I bet, dude, I've said this 100 times. Ask the cop, hey, did you swear an oath to uphold and protect and defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic? Well, yeah. Well, what's the 6th Amendment?
They don't know. What's
the 4th Amendment?
They don't want to have that conversation.
We talked about this earlier. Grady Judge, every time he does one of his, this is supposed to be America's sheriff, he violates the people's 6th Amendment right. Every time he arrests somebody and he thinks it's a good story, he jumps on TV and he damages them to the public and he slanders them and he talks shit. They're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. What he's doing, he's not giving them any chance at a fair trial. He's slandering these people and violating their 6th Amendment right. And just like today, they violated this man's 1st Amendment right. Not only that, they protected people who were complicit in violating his rights instead of arresting the person that violated his rights. I don't understand what the fuck is wrong with America at this point. We have rights. We have to exercise the fucking rights. I don't know how much. I mean, it seems to me like half America doesn't even know they have rights anymore.
No, they don't. They don't seem to care. But when it comes knocking at your front door, you'll care. Don't let it be too late for you.
Yeah, it's coming down hard and fast. We're in the midst of an election, which seems to be like it's either going to be the Constitution and Bill of Rights or communism and socialism manipulated around the Constitution and Bill of Rights, and so we're all just kind of laying on our fucking backs with our hands and feet up in the air saying, hey, it's okay. You can come violate my rights. And she's right when it comes knocking on your door. How big was your brother?
My brother, he was 5'6", 138 pounds, a small guy.
How many security guards drug him out of that casino?
4 security guards. And then I think in total, when they put him over, they dragged him over towards the fountain. Someone told me there weren't cameras there at that time. There are now, because of course I went and looked. But there was 5 in total, I think, in the end.
How many?
One of them was, a massive man.
How many cops took him to jail?
3.
So you got a 5 foot something, under 135 pound guy, and it takes 4 big ass security guards and 3 men or women with all different kinds of pistols and machine guns and tasers and pepper balls to drag you out of a casino. This is financial. And the dude, so your brother, The dude you're talking about, the big giant guy. Do you think that your brother would have given him any kind of issue at all? Do you?
No, it's on video. No, he didn't.
So,
He didn't give them any type of issue, not at all.
and he was asking for help.
Asking for help. They at one point had him sit on the stairs at the fountain, waiting for Reno PD to show up. And my brother, what he did was he started scooting backwards up the stairs, saying to them, "Someone's behind you. They're going to shoot me. They're going to shoot me."
Yeah.
And what they chose to do, security, was then to grab both of my brother's ankles and rip him down the stairs, and his head bounced off.
Oh
off the
my
stairs.
God.
That wasn't on video, that part, but a security guard who worked for the Pepper Mill. She
Testify.
was interviewed by Reno Police. That
Yeah.
wasn't in Reno Police, the report they wrote up, but
Yeah.
I got the videos of her interview and watched them.
Yeah.
Learned that from her the interview.
We got to get those. We got to get those videos on here because we got to show people. And it's the reason I wanted to get into that a little bit is because that's a man's having he's having a break, mental break or emotional break, you know. And what I don't understand, and maybe you can help me. What is it about somebody having that kind of an issue that requires them to be jailed instead of taken somewhere where they can get some sort of help or have somebody to talk to, or maybe even the police show up and calm them down, take them for a ride, talk to them, tell them, make them feel like, if I was a cop, I'd be like, bro, I won't let nobody shoot you. I promise. I'll take care of you. Here, come get in the car, sit down, let's get out of here. And then take them and talk to them about it on my way to maybe St. Mary's if I was in Reno, or Renown, or somewhere where he can actually get help and feel safe. I don't know what it is why is that, in your opinion? Because I don't think either one of us know. I mean, we kind of do, but why, in your opinion, why isn't that their first go-to? Why isn't it, let's calm them down and get them help? Why is it, let's lock them up?
I would just say they've lost their sense of humanity. They forgot why they got into the profession in the first place.
Yeah.
They know that they can act this way.
Yep.
They look down on other human beings and think that they're a protected class of citizen themselves, not the people they're killing.
Yeah.
I can't explain why someone would act that way and not show compassion and empathy.
I can't either. I think about it. I've heard the story before, and I'm like, I go through it, and I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest parts for me, is there was so many people that could have stood up and done the right thing and said, this kid needs to go to a hospital, and none of them did. Not the 3 Reno police officers, not anybody at the sheriff's office, not the nurse at the sheriff's office, nobody.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll go over accountability. How about that? So let's talk about holding these people accountable. What has been your struggle with holding these people accountable?
It's hard to get enough support and enough people being vocal that things need to change. In Nevada, you actually have AB 58 that passed into law, which allows the Attorney General of Nevada to conduct an investigation into any agency, including law enforcement, that have a pattern and practice of violating people's constitutional rights. Complaints have been filed with him by myself and other people, and they don't do anything about it. It seems like he created that. Attorney General Aaron Ford put forth that bill, and it's all just seems like more smoke and mirrors. They're not really holding any law enforcement accountable still to this day, because people are still dying at the jail, families are still suffering, and he hasn't filed one investigation into any law enforcement agency in the state.
It seems they pass bills like this to blow smoke up our ass and then pander to the other side of the issue. But the thing, I mean, from my perspective, there is no two sides to this issue. There is justice and injustice, and the current form of policing is complete and total tyranny and injustice. We have a friend that was over here today, Tanya, that was looking at we don't have to say the specific one, but there's a vacancy, right? And an advocate vacancy. And I was thinking about it. Nobody's applied for it, but I don't know if they want that position filled because they can't pander to either side if they fill that position. You see what I'm saying?
I do. And then it begs the question, why hasn't the governor tried to fill the position? But if the position is filled, it needs to be filled with, it is a position for an advocate, but any type of criminal legal system type of board needs
Yeah.
to have somebody directly impacted on that board that's making decisions that affect people that have gone through the same situations that these people have in their past. Nobody can speak better or give better input to people than people who have actually lived it.
Yep. I know, and I totally agree. And it seems like those are the exact kind of people they don't
They
want
don't
in
want
there.
them. No, yeah, definitely
know.
not.
And I bet you if we really dug into it, we would find all kinds of positions that were advocacy positions, that were beneficial, rehabilitation positions, rehabilitation advocates, prison reform advocates that are supposed to sit on the governor's board that are completely empty. So his cabinet only has political, almost lobbyist or bureaucratic point people.
They want an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want an echo chamber.
Or they don't want to seem like they're soft on crime. Well, I'm here to say they're hard on the wrong people. You know what I mean?
Mental illness is not a crime.
It isn't. And you were
and the sheriff in Washoe County has acknowledged that the jail is the biggest mental health facility in the county.
it's only mental health because you go fucking crazy in there. Excuse my language. I keep saying the F-bomb. Promise my Aunt Judy I wouldn't do that
And
anymore.
incarcerating people with mental illness, it's just a cycle. It's a revolving door. If they don't get the help because the funding's all going to incarcerating people instead of stifling the issue before it even happens by investing funding into resources that actually benefit the community beforehand, so that we don't have the issues that cause people to end up in jail with mental health issues or drug addiction problems or whatever problem they have.
You're absolutely right. And it seems like you had mentioned something earlier about the sheriff's department boasting about opening a mental health facility and running it. That seems like a complete, like, I was blown away when you said that. And I don't know give us the details on that real quick.
The thing is I don't know the exact details. So what the story is it was on the agenda today at the county commissioners meeting to spend $90,000 to fund a staffing study to see how many civilian and commissioned staff, which would be the deputies, it would take to safely operate a 240 bed medical facility.
And so that would but would that be mental health or medical from what you heard?
That's all the information that was on the agenda. And I believe that we left before the agenda item came up. But my question is why is the sheriff's where are these 240 people coming from to end up in these beds, and why is the sheriff's office involved in it at all? And that makes me think that it's got to be people that are already would be sent to the detention facility. That are, the medical care there is run by a third-party vendor, NavCare, and all you have to do is Google NavCare, and you'll see how many lawsuits they've had against them. And the current sheriff, their contract was up for renewal when Balaam took office. Well, don't you know, they gave him two $5,000 NavCare campaign donations right before general election day. He won the election, and he recommended that their contract got renewed, even though 14 people had died within 2 years since they had taken over the medical contract.
That's disgusting. It sounds like their burger barn racket.
Yes.
You know, that's fucking crazy. The former sheriff is in charge of, his wife owns the burger barn, and the current sheriff makes money on the burger barn in Washoe County. Now, just because it's Washoe County, Nevada, we're talking about now. I don't personally live in Washoe County. This goes on in all of our counties.
Yeah, and across the United States, because what I'll say about what my story, it's not unique.
Yeah.
With the other people that I have spoken to that have had a loved one killed by police, the lack of transparency, the lies that they've been told, the victim shaming, trying to, kill our loved one's image in the media with things that would have no relevance to what happened to them, anything to detract from what the police did to justify it to the general public, so that people are just like, well, he did XYZ, so he must have, whatever the police did, it was deserved, and that's not the case, because they don't tell the truth.
It's usually for fine. It seems to me like it's usually for whatever municipality that is involved, that a majority of the arrests are for financial gain. First off, is what I think we've become chattel, and whatever they can do to make a couple extra bucks to extort us for a couple more dollars. And see, I'm way more cynical than most people. We're already taxed damn near half of everything. You get taxed on the money you make, you get taxed on the money you spend, you get taxed on the money you save, you get taxed on the money you save to retire, you get taxed, then you get taxed by the police, is basically what, in biblical times they called the money changers or the tax collectors, and what especially in Nevada, I know that all traffic infractions are now civil because infractions aren't a crime.
Yeah, they did. That was a good bill that they passed.
Yeah.
And you can't lose your license. It
Yep.
just because it just escalates and snowballs from there. It affects people who are indigent. If I had $1 million, no problem, I can pay that bill. But
Yeah.
there are people who don't have $1 million, and that's either putting food on their table or fixing their taillight and to stay out of jail. And it was really, that was a positive.
Yeah, no,
reform.
I totally agree with you on that note. The problem that I have with it is that they use a non-crime, an infraction, a civil infraction, and escalate it into a crime, and they use things like officer safety or resisting arrest or obstruction of justice or whatever the fuck they can to turn your little tiny blinker ticket into a misdemeanor. And then that misdemeanor, when you're like, I didn't do anything, but I forgot to use my blinker. Why are you doing this to me? Get on the ground, you piece of shit. Now you're resisting arrest. And you accidentally kicked me in the leg while I was throwing your face into the ground. And now that's a felony assault on a police officer. And you see that, I see that shit on TV all the time. It makes me sick to my fucking stomach, because that's not how they're supposed to be.
It isn't. And that, I'm so glad, I don't know if that live PD show that used to be on,
dude,
I couldn't stand it.
Cops too.
And I was so glad that it went off the air.
So accountability. Let's get into this, because we're gonna get into who her brother was to her in just a second, and that's where it's gonna get maybe a little bit deep. But accountability, as far as accountability goes, we got civil rights violators. They're serial criminals, because violating somebody's civil rights is a crime, it's an actual crime, felony or misdemeanor that has a direct victim, because the state can't be a victim, right? That you can't you can't say I'm the state, so I'm a victim. So the state versus so and so seems like a bunch of bullshit to me too. But what about accountability? The violation of civil rights is a major issue, but just on a base level, how much success have you seen with accountability, and what do we got to do to raise that bar, in your opinion?
As far as accountability, I haven't seen much of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, but it doesn't deter me from continuing to try to get the end result of accountability, because we all have to be accountable in our lives, whether we wear a badge or not, whether we are an elected official or not. I'm accountable to someone. They have the ability to take a human life. They need to have accountability, but it's a struggle. It's an uphill struggle, but I just continue to spread the word about the fact that the Attorney General in the state can do something. It's going to take a community effort and a push of more than just myself and a few other people telling the attorney general, hey, we want you to use your authority and investigate these constitutional violations, because it's the DA, it's Reno Police, it's Sparks Police, it's the sheriff's office. But again, like you said, it's also in your county, it's in the county down south, it's all over. And when we put people in office like Aaron Ford, who want to pretend that they're, the good guy and they're on the right side of justice, and then just blow smoke up our ass and not do anything, that's a problem. Who do you turn to next then, when there's actually a law in place, but the person who can facilitate it won't do anything about it?
And a lot of lawyers won't even take the cases.
No, they won't. If you have a civil rights case, it's nearly impossible. My brother, they wouldn't. No lawyer wanted to even talk to us till I got the videos.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Well, that's because in most cases, the police get to release the narrative. And it's always a self-serving one.
Yeah.
It never is going to be like, the guy was unarmed when we blasted him 12 to 30 times,
Yeah, I keep going back to Grady Judd, but they call him America's sheriff, but he's a piece of shit in my eyes, because he doesn't give a shit about your constitutional rights. He violates them. And when they murder somebody in a park for sleeping in his car, there's all of a sudden, oh, Polk County Sheriff doesn't wear body cams, or, the bullshit like this. And so I think that people out there who hear this and listen to this, you guys need to start demanding accountability from your local policing agencies. Return it to a peace officer status. Get rid of the tyranny. Do whatever you have to do to fight the tyranny, whether you're a law-abiding citizen or not. Because if they're breaking the law, they got no standing. There's no reason they should even approach you for suspicion, because suspicion isn't a crime, right? They can go fuck off. And I don't know. I really don't know what we're going to do to, especially, okay. Now, I'm right leaning. A lot of people know this, but I think, and I'm talking to the Republican-ish, right-leaning, conservative-ish people out there, there's something wrong. I don't need to reach the left. They already know, but they're radical. There's got to be a simple medium. I'm talking to you guys. There's something wrong. You've all heard the stories or experienced it, yet you sit there and let it happen. You don't have the testicular fortitude to get out there and say, hey, this is wrong. But it is. And this is something that we can come together on, especially with the divides in our country. Politically, the left and the right can come together on criminal justice reform. The one thing we can find a simple medium on, the one thing that can start us coming back together, is criminal justice reform, private prisons, and the shit that happened to her brother should never happen. It's George Floyd. Happens every single day in every county jail, from every race, color, and creed. And it's time for that shit to stop. That being said, let's tell us. So he's your blood brother, right?
He is. I just did want to mention one other
tidbit
about how anybody can be affected and give an example.
Yeah.
There's actually a federal judge at the Reno Federal Court. And her stepson was actually, killed by police in Seattle, I believe it was. And she actually is the judge on a current excessive force case where they killed somebody in Sparks. And the Sparks city attorney filed a motion to try to get this judge, Miranda Dew, thrown off any future excessive force case, because she she gets to decide on that. She obviously ruled and said, no, I'm not going to do that. I can still be impartial. But I found it very compelling when I found out that a federal judge had a family member, her stepson, killed by the police.
I got a feeling maybe she will be impartial. I don't see. That's the thing. I think our judiciary is for the most part bought and sold, and I know this for a fact because I know back in the state that I came from in California that you could pay, you could throw a little woo wop on the judge's little, campaign contribution and get your, cases just like here in Nevada. But federal judges are appointed, they're different, right? And it's going to take the federal judges need to do their duty and adhere to the Constitution. And the fact that there's a police agency trying to kick a judge off the bench in a police misconduct case is the most telling thing I've heard in a long time. And I hope that I'm not like them. If it's their fault, I hope they're held accountable. Accountability is the one thing that's missing. So one thing that's missing, the fact that they all have different, the immunity, go ahead one more time. What is it?
Qualified immunity.
From the judges, the prosecutors, your public defenders are officers of the court. They're all officers of the court. They all have qualified immunity, and none of them can be held accountable by us, the people, whose job their job is to protect us and our rights. Yet they go on the side. These are police unions. These are the thin blue line gang members. And they're protecting them. And I hope this judge really, I hope she is impartial. And if they're wrong, I hope she holds them accountable. That's all I got to say on that note.
Agreed.
It's scary, dude. People are afraid to leave their houses sometimes because in Nevada, for instance, if your insurance lapse, they automatically suspend your license plates. Okay, I get it. You're supposed to have insurance. Look at the economy. And it was the insurance lobby that got that law passed. And it cost $250 the first time, $500 the second time, $1,000, and it keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Where's that money going? Where is that money going? Your insurance rates go up.
The police department budget.
Yep.
That's where it's going.
That too. When your insurance rate, when you get it canceled, you can't get insurance unless you go through a certain company, and they spike those insurance rates up 100% every time, every offense. You can't afford it anymore. Now you can't afford to get insurance. Now you can't go to work, but you have to go to work. So you got to drive a car with suspended tags and insurance because you can't afford these exorbitant, just gigantic fines that you don't even know you have half the time. Then they pull you over. They find a reason to take you to jail. They violate your rights. They stick you in jail. And in Anne Marie's brother's case, he died, even though it wasn't a traffic stop, it wasn't a Terry stop. That happens every day too. And it has to stop. It has to stop. I don't know. Is there any hope? Is there any hope?
I have to have hope. I have to believe that things will change one day. I think that the younger generation has a better grasp on what's going on. They give me hope. I think they're a little more in tune with the injustices that are occurring. I have to have hope. I can't believe that things won't change, because if I give up and believe that, then I know people will continue to die unnecessarily and more families will be affected.
Yeah. In the wrong way. We just need to have a unified front. If you have your neighbor's got a Kamala sign and you have a Trump sign, this is common ground. This is the beginning of coming together. Immediate criminal justice reform, police reform, private prisons need to go by the wayside. They need to go. The fact that this has become a financial issue more than an actual justice issue.
Bingo.
That shit has to go. It can't be about finances. There has to be no gain for anybody, for somebody to get pulled over and get a ticket anymore. It has to stop, and we can all come together on this. Anyways, enough of that rant. Tell us about, so I'm going to go back to your brother. I just want you to tell people who he was to you. Maybe, growing up with them and how it's affected you. The mic is yours.
So my brother Thomas was actually 4 years older than me, but we always kind of had he was more like it was more like a mother-son relationship because my brother has struggled with mental illness his entire life. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but we all know that mental illness has negative effects on people. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't out committing crimes or anything like that. He just struggled mentally sometimes. But he was like anybody's brother, you know. He was literally my best friend. I wouldn't say my brother was someone who was like outgoing and would light up the room. He was a shy, reserved kind of person. But he definitely knew how to express his love to his family and made us know that we were loved. Like, that's one of the things I miss the most. I mean, I talked to my brother hours before he ended up, encountering the police. I was speaking with him on the phone like hours before it happened, and he always would say all that. He always ended the call with "Love you, Ann," and I miss that. My brother, he had so many hobbies. He was like really smart. He could like take electronics apart and put them back together. I mean, we always thought he was breaking them, but in the end, he always got them back together working. And he boxed when he was little. He had won the Golden Gloves, and he also liked to golf and ride bike. He liked to repair bicycles. He liked to fish. We would go to like New Hampshire a lot when we were younger. He went away. He liked to ski. Like, he was really athletic. He was like the type, like the first time he went skiing, he could just go like right down the hill. It's funny because I took his son. He has 2 children. My brother was a father as well. And I took his son skiing for the first time. And he reminds me so much of my brother, not just physically, but also like just his characteristics, his demeanor. But I was like, watch this kid be able to like get on the skis and go right down. And sure enough, he did. And was like passing by all of us who knew how to ski. He looks just like, in a way, it's a blessing and a curse because he reminds me so much of my brother, but it's hard. Yeah. It's hard sometimes to have him remind me of him because he's not here. Because he looks just like him. He looks just like my brother. But my brother was really proud of the fact that he had worked for the MBTA, which was the train system here in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, due to his mental illness, he did end up no longer working there after a certain point. But my father worked for the MBTA, so it was kind of like him and my dad were really close too. And it's kind of fucked up, but like in the video of them killing my brother, he actually says to the police, "My father's going to wonder why I didn't get my phone call."
Yeah.
He was, even in his moments of terror, his family was going through his head, Yeah. But yeah, he was just someone who had a whole life ahead of him and was robbed of it. And my family was robbed of the future experiences and moments and memories with him.
Yeah. We talked about how this had an effect on your dad, and your dad kind of, I think, I may be wrong, but maybe kind of got manipulated into a settlement.
He did. So as I had said before, we couldn't even find an attorney to take the case until we had the videos. My father, when this happens, it's like, you're not thinking about money. Money is not going to bring my brother back.
Yep.
It's like, we wanted justice, which would be the people who did this, like in jail.
Yeah, no shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But my father was 75 when my brother was killed. He'll be 85 this year because this is going on 9 years. And my father signed an agreement with a sleazeball attorney who wrote a contract for 50%. It wasn't about justice to these 99% of the attorneys. It's not about justice. It's about how much money they can make for themselves.
Dirt balls.
Yeah, for themselves, not the families, because they never would have had my father sign a 50% contract, but he didn't even read it. He was just happy to have representation. And then the settlement came in, and it was, peanuts for the life of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my father rushed to settle because the attorneys, I don't know what the attorney said to them. They made sure they were like in his ear without,
Yeah.
Anybody else around. But I also think that part of it was my father was 75 and he had to feel like he could see some sort of resolution
Yep.
to what happened to my brother. He didn't want to, I don't think my father wanted to die himself and not have any type of resolution. And in the end, my father, to this day, he still feels the same exact pain and heartache that he felt before the settlement, and
That was my next
realizes,
question. Go ahead, though. Keep
yeah,
going.
and he realizes, that it never ends. That it never ends when the police kill your son, your daughter, your brother, your spouse, your best friend. The pain never ends because there is no justice. There hasn't been any reform. We saw another man killed less than a year later at the jail, the same way Thomas was.
Under the same sheriff, too, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was under Sheriff Chuck Allen when this happened.
Yeah. This sheriff and old Chucky are super tight buddies, from what I understand. We get some shit. I can't imagine that, man. I mean, if it was, I only have one little girl, and I don't know how I would deal with it. And she went through an accident last August, not the one that just passed, but the one before. I think it was August 2nd or something, when she was driving, and she got in an accident. Her friend passed away, and she got the shit end of the stick too. She wasn't drinking. She wasn't intoxicated. She got called, for whatever. I'm not going to get into details, but they prosecuted her for it. I mean, she didn't get in too much trouble, which I really appreciate, because she is really a good girl and she doesn't deserve that shit. But the fact that they prosecuted her was like,
it can never be an accident, right? It can never just be an accident.
And you could tell, and even in the photos, there's another car with the front quarter panel bashed in on the road when it was her driver's side quarter panel. So it was that car's front passenger side quarter panels bashed in. And from what I see, it looks like they hit the rear driver's side of her car and caused her to spin out. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't have her permission. But and it was really rough. But they go, the prosecution, like, I mean, she was completely innocent of any wrongdoing except being out too late. From what I understand, she got called out, which, and she tried to do the right thing. Again, I can't really get into too many details, but, and that's Washoe County Sheriff's Department too. And that's every police station on the, in the United States. Their job is to arrest you, not help you, take you to jail, put you in front of a judge, and take your money, or take your body as collateral for whatever bond they issue in your name to get more money. That's what American policing has become. And unfortunately, young men like Anne Marie's brother Thomas die because that's how our police are trained in their 6-week academy. We have to do better. Go ahead.
I do have a couple requests. If people could go to impactedfamilies.com. It's IMPACTEDFAMILIES.com. Myself and another impacted sister whose brother was shot 31 times by Boston police while he was unarmed.
Holy
and
shit.
during a mental health crisis, started Impacted Families to try to connect with other families and make, legislative change. But we have a couple petitions that I'd like to ask people to sign. And one of them is a survey: when police use deadly force, should they investigate themselves? I know what my answer is. I don't want to, skew the court of public opinion and implant ideas, but hopefully other people, get the idea that no, police should not investigate themselves. That's not transparency. And then there's also another petition. It's not a petition for myself, but it's a petition for my friend whose brother was shot 31 times, and their case actually is they filed with the Supreme Court of the United States to see if they'll hear it, because the First Circuit Court of Appeals threw out their excessive force lawsuit and there was 3 judges on the appeals court. 2 of them threw the case out. One wrote a 30-page dissenting opinion talking about the officers' credibility and how many issues there were with the credibility of the officers and their story and their version of what they claim happened. So their family is, hoping it's a long shot, but they're trying to get the Supreme Court to hear their petition that they've filed. So if you could support that.
Under these circumstances, I hope you guys go and support everything she's saying. And then when you like, comment, and subscribe, go ahead and leave your opinion down there. But I want to say the police unions that back these cops, when they get into these kind of positions that she's talking about right now, they're big ass giant team of nationwide powerhouse lawyers coach them on everything to say. And I'll tell you something, more innocent people have gone to jail because of corrupt or lying cops than you could even count. If the stats are right, and there's 15% of inmates in United States prisons are innocent, probably 90% are innocent because of the police.
Police misconduct, for sure. If they want it to be you, it's going to be you. One conviction for every crime, guilt or innocence, doesn't apply.
Yep. How many is too many? 1? 15%? If one person is wrongfully convicted and sent to prison for something they didn't do, is that enough? Is that too much?
In my opinion, we need to say, if there's one person that's innocent and they're serving a life sentence, then we need to let them all go.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion. What if I was that 1%? What if I was that 15% sitting in prison? Why is that okay?
No shit. They the Damien Eccles, you know about his story?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna look it up. Sorry guys for going on my phone during the show, but he was part of a group of, this was during the satanic panic in the 80s. Let me get it here. Him and his 2 buddies, they stuck together through the hold on. Damien Eccles, let's see. The West Memphis 3, all wrongfully convicted. The Central Park 5, all wrongfully convicted, and more and more and more and more and more, and it never ends. And I want to know, what anybody who's listening to this thinks. How many is too many? Is one wrongful conviction too much? Or is 15% too much? And really what you need to think about is, what is your role in allowing this to happen? Being too lazy to read about the people you elect, or being too scared to hold people accountable or stand up for your rights? You got to remember, we have a Bill of Rights. You need to learn them. You need to get out there and exercise them. And you need to hold your public officials, including police, sheriffs, and deputies, accountable, or you'll have a family member and you'll be sitting on the other end of this microphone and telling the same story she is. It's up to you. Anne-Marie, where can we find you? Give it all up. And then everything besides the poll, what the heck is it? The petition that you want people to sign.
Yep.
Where go ahead and give that to them one more time, and then everything that they should be looking at, where they can find you and what they can do. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's impactedfamilies.com, IMPACTEDFAMILIES.com. Most of my social media handles are just at Anne-Marie 020981, and that's ANNEMARIE 020981. For a long time on Facebook, I was sharing every single day the list of people who were killed by police on that day, but Facebook's notorious for censoring truth, so they won't let me do that anymore. But I also And I'm on the board with Tanya Brown, her advocates for the inmates and the innocent, supporting local efforts here to make changes. We were just working on the second look. The Judiciary Committee agreed to try to make a bill with it, but we still need people to support it actually being enacted into law. That petition is on change.org. I don't know the exact address, but I know that on Facebook, Reno Cop Watch page has shared it, so they can go on Facebook if you're on Facebook. The petition is there. It's also on the Return Strong Facebook page. And then I also sit on the board for Voices of Strength, which is a 503c nonprofit, which also involves connecting with other impacted family members and elevating their voice and their truth. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Everybody, I urge you to go on, sign these petitions, call your local law enforcement agencies and tell them that you want them to revert to being peace officers if you can. I mean, we're going to have to make a big ass movement to do that, but start holding people accountable. And when you see an injustice, say something. I'm not talking about if you see somebody steal your neighbor's cat and eat it. I'm talking about if you see the police acting like assholes and treating people unjustly, it's time that we hold them accountable. And the only way to do that is to open your mouth, let your voice be heard, say something, get out there and become a part of the movement. Justice reform is on the forefront of everybody's minds, right, left, or center. And it's time for us to do something about it. Anne-Marie, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. I'm glad that you finally got you here. So.
Me too.
All right. Art Revolution signing out.
Take 3. Hey, what's up, G?
Zach G mixed it.
Hey. It's the Art of Revolution.
Push the masses away from the media. Every day it's a new distraction from what matters to me. And you get the public together to speak in front of the theater with a microphone dangling. Congress tied up and they hearing us like, hey y'all, I'm holding this microphone like a K-Dog. And with this A-Dog, I kick the revolution way off. Today's the day, dog. They ain't like us, I'm quoting K-Dog. I'm from the days of face-to-face conversations like, hey, wait up. The fake is blatant, we ain't the racist. The claim is baseless, they taking face pics. The trade for information, take away your simple basics. The day-to-day Satan worship is taking place. It's your chance to speak your mind and probably your last time. Time is running out, we hustle every day for peace of mind. Cheap and grind, that's what I'm saying when I'm out here getting mine. Get in line, the time to make a difference is now. Push, pull, push, pull. Push out the evil and pull in the truth. I know you got something to say and now's your time to say it, dude. Like push, pull, push, pull. Push out the evil and pull in the truth. I know you got something to say and now's your time to say it, dude. Like pull it together, get your notes and take a step up. The road to freedom always begins with a single letter. Are we ever gonna take a chance to get a leg up? The time to use your voice is arisen like it's the 7th. The first step is to let the people know you're fed up. The sword is quite mighty, but the pen will stick the neck better. Don't ever settle and constantly question your surroundings. Shit is always going down around you that you can't see. Thomas Sue and the Art of Revolution. It's time to spark a conversation and shock the institution. Fuck the system like Kama Sutra propaganda and mass confusion to take away your sight and then leave you blind to honest truth. Give me 2 fingers up, but fuck peace, I'ma see a thumb. Middle one raised up higher than your middle son. Little ones paying the price of silence is within us, giving us no time to react like Chernobyl incidents. Push, pull, push, pull. Push out the evil and pull in the truth. I know you got something to say and now's your time to say it, dude. Like push, pull, push, pull. Push out the evil and pull in the truth. I know you got something to say and now's your time to say it, dude. Like